Welcome to a Quirrel tutorial on Solve, one of Quirrel's most useful functions. Quirrel's set-based nature allows it to avoid traditional control structures such as for statements and while loops. There is no need to iterate over each element when each element from a set can be accessed automatically. Some example use cases will illustrate Solve's usefulness. For example, we might want to report some figure broken down by some time period, product, or location. Let's take a look at a query that returns the number of conversions for each state. First, we load our data using : and / for the load command. Then we begin a solve statement using our first tick variable, and then we're going to return an object within that solve statement with a variable called state. This is going to be populated by the tick variable, and then we're going to do a count, and this count is going to be the data, where data.customer.state equals tick state, which basically means we're going to get one result for every value of state that is in data.customer.state. The solve function allows you to use one or more tick variables in a query. A tick variable takes on all the values in the set it is constrained to. In the example we just covered, the where clause, where.customer.state equals tick state, constrains the tick variable to each value that is in data.customer.state. This allows the desired group and result. The contents of the solve statement are run for each state. It is also possible to assign the results of a solve statement into a variable. This can be useful for filtering or otherwise reusing the results. In this example, the solve results are stored in a variable called countByState, and in the final line of the query that we're writing now, we're going to create a filter that returns only those states that have greater than the average number of conversions. You can also use a solve statement with multiple tick variables. So here we can add an additional tick variable, gender. Do a little bit of formatting to make the query easier to use. Create another variable to be returned to the object, that also gender. Go ahead and get rid of our where filter. But importantly, we haven't constrained the tick variable gender. We don't know where those values are coming from, so we need to have an additional constraint that lets us know where we should get those values from. So one way to do that is add an and here, and also just count the data where data.customer.gender equals tick gender. So now we're going to be getting the values for gender from data.customer.gender. In this example, there will be one result for each state and gender. So rather than having a count for just Colorado, there will be a count for conversions by males in Colorado and a count for conversions by females in Colorado, and so on. This can be extended to allow for extremely complex queries. It is also possible to add constraints directly to the solve statement in addition to within the solve statement body. Let's look at an example here. So here we're adding a constraint directly in the solve statement rather than within the body. So what will the following query return? The values for tick ID are coming from data.productID because that's the constraint we specified. So what we're going to get is one product ID for every product ID that is in data.product.id. That's going to conclude our basic tutorial on Solve. Thanks for your time.